Hi. Hi, Oscar. Hi, Leo. I'll just wait until more people come in. Obviously, I'll answer any questions if you have any now as well. I sent you a message. Have you read that? Not that I'm aware of. Did you send it to my private messages? Let me look. It never gives me notifications for private messages. Okay, I see you have sent me one. Okay. I guess I could read that as a first thing. Unless you don't want me to, unless you want me to leave it till later. Do you want me to reply to you in private messages later? Not for me personally. I know some people can have problems with legumes, but I personally don't. I know that he was diagnosed with ulcerative colitis. Do I think that drinking 1 or 2 beers gluten-free at the weekend is bad for recovery? I don't know enough about like where you're at, but obviously I think that alcohol is going to be a detriment to recovery. But at the same time, if you're doing everything right, you're eating well, you're sleeping well, you know, it might give you a little bit of a setback, but really it matters about what you're doing most of the time. Okay, I'll do a private message response. Did you do any stretches while recovering before walking? Only like stretches that I felt like doing. You know, I didn't follow any specific yoga or anything. I think I did one yoga pose that it just felt comfortable. But no, I didn't do any rigorous stretching routine or anything like that. What I will say is something that I bought recently that may help you, like if you're like in fight or flight all the time and having a hard time with sore muscles and everything. What do I mean? What's the word? Like if you have tightness in your back and stuff, I recently bought this, which is something you lay on and you get to certain points in your back and you leave it there and it slowly dissipates, like trigger points and stuff. Also, I got something called a ferrocane, which I would have loved to have had during recovery. So basically, it allows you to leverage different points on your body. So say I have a trigger point here in my trapezius, I can just push down on these and it gives you a good angle without having to spend loads of money of going to a physio or whatever. The other one I have is where is it? This is the last one that I got. Is this, and basically you put your spine, you line it with your spine and you go down your spine with it. You like roll on it. so it gets to your muscles in your back. So if I had to go through recovery now, I would have loved things like this, for sure, because it's a lot cheaper than going to a physio, you know, if you know what you're doing. I mean, I think I would recommend going to a physio or anyone that can do your massage your trigger points, just to get a feel of what points are bad for you, just so you know what you're doing when you can do it yourself. Did you eat any grains during recovery? You know what? This is something, I think I did a video on it, but I realized looking back that I didn't really eat much grains at all. Whether I think they're a problem or not, I don't know. I think it's healthier to have like a sweet potato than, say, rice. But at the end of the day, like, I don't think it would be a problematic food as much as, say, gluten or dairy or things like that. How important are probiotics in this health journey, and if important, why are they so important? Well, one thing's for sure is that the longer research goes on about the body and everything, is how important gut health is. Like, all health almost starts in the gut. So things that you're putting in your mouth day in, day out, eventually have to take a toll on your overall health. So, yeah, I think probiotics are helpful, but I don't think it's the be-all and end-all. I think that first and foremost, diet plays a huge role. Dr. Greger did a video showing how different diets change your microbiome. How important was having friends and people your own age around you during your recovery? I'm living with parents right now, considering a big change and moving in with friends. I didn't consider it a big deal at all. If you know, like, if you've been on any of my other live streams, I pretty much say that I didn't, in real life, I didn't have anyone my own age around me. I preferred isolation for me personally, because I always felt drained after interactions with most people. Yeah, I haven't used it under my feet yet, Sarah. Did you ever come down with glandular fever, Epstein virus, mono during your lifetime? I actually got mono and glandular fever December just gone. So after my recovery. So I thought I was proper relapsing and I was shitting it, but I managed to get over it quite quickly because I knew how to recover from my past experience with chronic illness. But yeah, I have been diagnosed with glandular fever. Did water kefir grains grow and multiply? Yeah, really quickly. So you recommend definitely cutting out oils, right? I mean, when I say cut out oils, from like before I really started thinking about it, I used to cook with olive oil every day, and that changes the compounds. It's really high in omega-6s, and I wasn't eating many omega-3s, which can cause an imbalance over time. So I think it's just something to be wary about. If you want to have a bit of olive oil on a salad or something, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But generally, I think keeping it to a minimum is a good idea. Do you think the longer someone has been ill, the longer it takes to recover? Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you look at it like this, when you're recovering, when you're recovering, you have to look and see how long you've been. Sorry, again, a bit confused. No, it didn't take you 2 nights to get there, where you are today. So, kind of take that into consideration when you're recovering. Can you also say which strains you use for your kefir? I have no idea. I just use kefir grains. But more and more I'm starting to think that maybe just a probiotic supplement's okay, rather than the kefir. At least it's controlled. because I started to think that maybe you don't really know what you're brewing with water kefir, as in what strains and stuff. Because sometimes I used to smell it and I go, that doesn't smell right, and I'd drink it anyway. So maybe a decent probiotic supplement's all you need. I don't know. Along with other changes and stuff. My anxiety has been a lot worse, as September reminds me of another year alone, not working or studying. It's messing up my sleep and I feel so silly or for letting it affect me. Any advice? Anxiety. Is it anxiety about real life related things, or do you just feel anxious, or are you anxious about the future? Are you anxious about just the fact that you are yet another year ill and not moving where you want to be, like moving to the place you want to be? As for that, you can't, you really have to just accept your situation. You have to accept it. Accept that your life's not how you want it, and you are going to have to put everything on hold for now. It really is a thing of accepting where you are, because you know, being upset about it and stuff ain't going to change anything. I've cut way back on iPad usage, games and social media, doing more audiobooks, and I find my mood is getting worse and I am getting depressed. Well, this is the thing, like, we use these things to escape our situation, and it stops us from really putting everything we can into changing it. So you have to look at why you're depressed. Is it because you just lost your distraction from your life? I'm about 10 months into this lifestyle and my face is still inflamed red. I look very unhealthy, eating whole foods, plant-based, and mostly fruits and some green juices every day. It seems to be a never-ending story. I personally looked a lot iller after having green juices. I personally think we should eat our food, especially during recovery. I can get away with having smoothies and stuff now, but during recovery, I couldn't tolerate smoothies and juices. Not all probiotics are not always dead in pills. Sometimes you can, especially the one that I took, which was quite expensive. You had to keep refrigerated, and it was in a glass bottle that was tinted. And I remember the first time I took that probiotic, I felt a difference. I felt like it interacted with my gut. But I will say that a lot of them are probably useless. Yeah. You said cut out socializing. Was it awkward when you saw those friends and people again? Well, one thing I realized was that I wasn't that interested in talking to most of the people I cut out anyway. So I was like, oh, whatever. I'll find new friends, and I did. James, you said you were going to upload an old video you recorded on what changed your mindset. Can you do this? Yeah, I will do. I've just installed Windows 10, so I had to find out how to download old videos back down to my hard drive to re-upload it. I heard from probiotics in a pill, they mentioned it is 15 times more effective. I don't know how much more effective it is, but if you get like a really decent probiotic, sometimes it can really set you back in terms of money. Like, I'm sure the probiotic I was having was like £1 per pill, but it was the only one that did anything for me. So the brand I used was ProBio. What was it? It was, I think it was by Ultra ProBio. 1 billion. It was 1 billion units, and here we go. And it was it had 1 billion strains in it, or whatever it was. That's the brand I used. It's the only one that worked for me. Did you notice diet symptoms? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I got sick after I got a fever after having probiotics, especially kefir. For some reason, I reacted with kefir even more. I had a fever for like 2 or 3 days after kefir. I think it's because the first time I had kefir, I drank like a quarter of a litre when they say to have like a teaspoon, and I had a fever, like a instant die-off symptoms. Yeah, possibly. All I know is I swear I was having die-off symptoms from that supplement and that one alone. I tried lots of different ones that were cheaper, but they didn't do anything. And that probiotic, it asks you to keep it in a cool temperature in the fridge to keep them alive or whatever it is. Did you just keep going with taking it and then slowly get better? No, when I had the fever, I stopped it immediately. But then I started having it again after it had gone. And I think I don't remember having that many symptoms afterwards, after that episode of having a fever. I think it's because I did it all in a compact amount of time. Do you think green tea is bad for recovery, as it has caffeine supposedly? I don't really know, because I never had caffeine or green tea. Your thoughts on raw veganism and muscle-less diet. Is it necessary to eat muscles to stay eczema acne free? No, I don't think so at all. I don't think you need to go raw vegan to have a clear complexion. As time goes on, mucusless diet. No, if it comes to eczema and acne, I used to suffer with both of those, and I'm not raw vegan. I couldn't do raw vegan, especially in this climate. I don't think I would even want to do raw vegan. You know, I like my raw foods, but I'm not just eating raw foods only. High carb diets. I did that in the beginning of my recovery. I was on a high carb diet, low fat, and it was working for me. I know I was feeling quite good on it, but I personally prefer a more balanced way of eating now. I will say this, is that when it comes to whole food high carb diets, is a really good way to lose weight. I am vegan, but I'm not raw. Any tips when you feel frustrated at how slow recovery is? There's no point being frustrated. You're gonna have to go through it either way. Being frustrated doesn't actually change anything. You've got this problem, you have to accept it and then just deal with the problem. I think you just have to really just visualize where you want to be. What are you doing it for? You're doing it so that you no longer have to deal with pain, you no longer have to deal with fatigue. You can go out and do what you want to do. Dairy a problem if not allergic. What about eating 1 time per month? I wasn't allergic to dairy either. Like, every person I was watching when I was ill that had recovered all cut out dairy, even if it wasn't vegan people. You know, you look at the paleo people, they don't have dairy. You were looking at all sorts of people, they don't have dairy. So I personally don't recommend dairy at all. I have depersonalization. I feel no pain. How do I stop it? Please help me. There's no one answer for everyone. With depersonalization, it's usually triggered by lots of different types of things. Everyone gets it for different reasons. So you have to for me, when I had depersonalization, I had to kind of forget about it. You have to stop focusing on depersonalization, and you have to start just accepting the situation you're in and how you're feeling, and hope that it will change one day. And also, obviously, treating yourself well in terms of how you're eating and how you're sleeping and everything, because I know that poor sleep can really make it worse. Do you feel worse when eating healthy meats, or do you not eat them for ethical reasons? I don't eat them for ethical reasons. I went through a period where I ate meat for the first time in my life, because this was in 2013 or something, because my whole life I've been told that you need meat to be healthy, and it started to play on my mind more and more as I got more ill. So I went through a phase of dropping my I was willing to do anything to recover. I was sick of everything. So I did eat meat like probably 5 or 6 times in the space of 10 days, something like that. And I didn't feel any different at all. And that's when I started to look at veganism. So many people were recovering. I was like, hang on a minute, I much prefer this. But yeah, it's ethical. I started making visualization board on a pinboard. We'll keep that somewhere to see it daily. Yeah, I recommend it as well. For me, I always had it in my mind what I wanted. I wanted exercise more than anything. I wanted to, you know, feel alive. That's what I wanted more than anything. I've been sick since 2012. Recently, I changed my diet to vegan, no grains. Fibro pain has decreased significantly, but fatigue is still difficult. Fatigue goes later on. The fact that your fibro pains have decreased is huge. They're the first symptoms to go for me. You know, when my fibro pains were going, I still have fatigue. That goes with time, and you do need to quit caffeine for sure. But work requires stretches of concentration and engaging with professionals. Seems like brain fog is too thick without caffeine. What to do? Well, that's a difficult one. I mean, you could just take small amounts of caffeine to do what you need to do, but obviously it's going to have its effects. But if you're doing everything else right, like you said, you've had a decrease in pains, just be patient, more patient, I guess. What are your thoughts on ashwagandha and saffron extract to help with anxiety and depression? I used to buy all these herbs. I especially did ashwagandha because I heard it's good for adrenal fatigue. And, you know, if you got the money to spare to have these herbs and these expensive extracts and everything, go for it if you want, but you don't need it to recover. I did 3 days, no grains, no legumes, no sugar, and my brain fog improved immediately. Now, see, you have to be careful. Is it because you're sleeping better? You could be sleeping better and then assume that something you've taken out of your diet is why you're feeling better. But obviously the no sugar thing makes sense as well. So you could be okay with legumes, but not grains and sugar. I would say the sugar makes sense. Everyone, like most people will say, get refined sugar and processed shit out of your diet when you're recovering, because that makes sense. Vegan is the only thing I haven't tried, so I'll be starting that soon. Should I transition gradually? See, that's where most people come from, is that they haven't tried it and they see it as extreme, but once you start getting into it, you realize it really isn't extreme at all. Yeah, I bought probiotics online. As for the transitioning gradually, okay, one key mistake people make when going vegan is they go, right, I'm not having any animal products now, and they look in their fridge and there's like nothing in, and they'll have a few apples, maybe a few bananas, bit of peanut butter or something, and they'll eat drastically lower calories. And this, having huge reduction in calories, is going to make you feel very tired. And then people associate the lower calorie density foods with, with being vegan, with making them more tired. But it's really about making sure you're getting enough calories. Also, if you're someone that's eaten meat your whole life, your body's not producing L-carnitine, which it usually does, because meat contains that. So you may get a phase of where your body's not getting L-carnitine and it's not had to make it. So there's a period where you're not ingesting it or making it. So your body's starting to make it again. So it can cause withdrawal symptoms. So there's a lot of things you have to take into account. Is it true that your worst symptoms diminished as the last ones? My worst symptoms went first. Fibro pain was the first one to go. Pain was the first one to go. That was the first symptom that went. Did you gain your weight toward the end of recovery? I lost weight and I've recently gained weight. I'm thinking because I don't feel as sick. Yeah, I gained weight throughout my recovery. I didn't worry about it. I tell people, don't think about your weight when you're recovering. You are in this recovery first and foremost to feel better inside your body. If you're going to take into consideration your aesthetic appearance when you're trying to recover and feel good, you're really going to hinder yourself. Don't worry about your weight. You'll lose that when you're fully recovered and back to exercising and everything. What do you think about cannabis oil? I've heard a lot of good things about cannabis oil. So if I was ill, I'd probably try it. But these people that say I had cancer and I just had cannabis oil and was in full remission, I think it's a load of bullshit, really. It's like people that say they fully recover from a chronic illness by using the lightning process. Like, I remember specifically there was this one girl, she was like, I feel so much better after the lightning process, and I asked her 3 months down the line, are you still recovered? She had relapsed. Because you're not fixing the foundation. It's like having a house and it's a bit shaky and repairing the roof. You know, it may help you, but it's not getting to the root cause. Well, when I say root cause, a root cause is different for everyone, but you're not fixing the foundation of how you're living. That's what I mean. Even housework exhausts me, and I have no one to help me with it. How can I go about not pushing myself? Lowering your housework, not doing. Maybe you have to be a bit messy for a while. I know it's annoying, but maybe that's what you'll have to do. I already cut back on chicken and I noticed I pee a lot less. No idea why, but that's good. Well, there was a lot of Dr. Gregor did a lot of videos about how much arsenic is actually in chicken. So maybe your body's trying to get rid of that. Possibly, you know. I've been ill for 30 years. It's very hard for me to sustain believing that I'm going to recover. I have worked so hard at it for so long. Yeah, 30 years is a very long time. And I think with that in mind, if you've been ill for 30 years, and I guess you almost get used to it, being ill. So the idea of recovering makes you feel probably, I'm just guessing, because it was like this for me, you get scared at the idea that if you do recover, what is your life going to look like? What do you do? So you have to really look and see if you really want it 100% or whether you might be scared. How long will it take for me to feel the difference after starting diet? Months. You know, don't expect an overnight cure when you change your diet. You may feel a bit of difference within the first 3 or 4 weeks. Some people feel miraculously different. You may see your pain diminish, but don't expect to feel completely recovered in such a small time. Water kefir is way stronger than any probiotic pill. It would seem so, for judging by my own experience, but I also remember a probiotic pill having a difference as well. So maybe you just need a pill that's a lot stronger. I don't know. But it just makes, for me, it makes kind of sense actually. If you're brewing kefir, it's there, it's brewing. and when it's finished, you drink it straight away. It's not being shipped to you from maybe a different country, you know, sat in little plastic capsules or whatever. Not plastic, you know what I mean. How did you deal with feelings of being stuck? I feel like I made progress, but it didn't go over a certain point. Do you recommend sticking to routine or changing things? I recommend adding things. Like, for example, maybe you want to add dry brushing in the morning and night. Maybe you want to add in different things like that. But if something's made you feel progress, I wouldn't stop it. You could maybe take it out some foods that you're eating, or upping calories, or looking at your sleep. You really have to. It is difficult. It really is like a Rubik's Cube sometimes, and that is very frustrating. But there is no other option. So don't get frustrated, as much as annoying as it is. Yes, it's something we have to learn to live with. Older people have less chance for recovery. Probably. The body becomes less resilient as you get older. So they say. But people like John Rose, he's like in his late 50s and he's looking in better shape than most 20-year-olds. So if you find what works for you, maybe it's not true. I don't know. James, I've had a bit of a bad day. Being on phone too much and it makes me feel like shit. It would be sick if you could get a bit of motivational for us and tell us the foundations of recovery that we should all be doing. Yeah, I will say this, if I'm sat on my phone even after recovery, I don't feel much motivation to do anything. I feel a bit drained from, if I wake up and look at this phone for a few hours or an hour, you know, or even half an hour. If I get up and do what I'm going to do, maybe take the dog a walk, I feel much different to if I sat and looked at my phone for half an hour. I've been gluten-free and eating clean for a few months now, vegan for years, but I'm actually putting on weight since eating better. I'm no longer walking daily though, which was exhausting me. Yeah, I recommend if you're feeling exhausted after exercise, don't do it, especially during recovery. Conserve your energy. How did you manage to consume 5,000 calories with a vegan diet? You know, I didn't always eat that kind of calories. You know, it was only some days when I've just felt like eating all the time. But generally, it was always over 3,000 calories. Always. I managed to have 1,500 to 2,000 every morning. You know, let me think. In the beginning, I was... It's usually from well, I was just eating all the time, really. Also, I was alternating between like salty foods and sweet foods, not sugar, but like fruits and stuff, and then eating dates with peanut butter or dates with almond butter. How did you get allowance to quit school? Here in Sweden, you're not allowed to take time off school without a good reason. Apparently, MS. Oh man, it is bullshit. Luckily, my parents were able to support me. Did you use any natural sweeteners? Like, yeah, I did. I can't remember the grade, but it was a very dark maple syrup. Now and again. What on earth did you eat to get that many calories? You would really, I don't know whether it's just me, but you would be really surprised at how easily you can eat calories. Get the calories in. See, maybe you're not counting calories enough. I don't know. But for example, if you eat some dates with some almond butter in, for example, you're probably hitting, with just a snack, 600-800 calories. There are people that recover on a paleo diet. I'm not going to say they don't, because they do. I just don't eat meat for ethical reasons and so happen to recover doing that. What do you think about CFS Health in Australia? They have an online program that looks pretty solid. Do you know anyone that's tried it? No, I've never known anyone that's tried it. Oh, well, there you go. Ketogenic diets. Ketogenic diets are good for weight loss because it's hard to get the calories in. Because there's like there's no fiber there, is there? Not much anyway, is there? It's much easier. You get full on fats much quicker. So I used to combine fats with carbs, and that was how I got a lot of calories in. Is there a way to make blackstrap molasses more palatable? I hate the taste so much. I hated it in the beginning, but then I started to enjoy it. But recently, I had a video that said how I get my calcium and stuff in just a tablespoon of blackstrap molasses. It turns out that the company a year later has said that they got the percentages of iron and calcium wrong in the product. It was like much less than stated, so I don't even bother having it anymore. Yeah, okay. When it comes to these CFS programs, a lot of them are rarely worth it. There's not many that you spend hundreds of pounds on and go, wow, that was really worth it. That rarely happens. I'm trying to be okay with just sitting and doing nothing, but I feel like I need to be doing something to get better. Is doing nothing really see, a lot of people get ill because of that mindset of feeling like you always have to be doing something. Listen to Eckhart Tolle's book, The Power of Now. Also, you can be doing things that will help you, like, I don't know, dry brushing, self-massage with things like this, relaxation. If you're really bored, watching things that make you laugh. Nothing too serious, nothing too engaging. You know, I was always made like use of my day by either, I don't know, dry brushing, for example. That added an extra half an hour of things I would do in a day. Just that one activity. So in your opinion, molasses is not worth it? Was just debating whether to buy some or not. No, I don't think it's worth it anymore. Oh, the fats don't seem to satisfy me. Not sure why. I've been trying to keto chat for like a month. I'm still getting hungry a lot. Okay, well, maybe it will. But here's my opinion, is that the body's first line of, like, the body, if you consume fats and carbs, the body always prioritizes carbs as its fuel. So when you take away that, the body's just, I don't know, I guess it takes a long time for it to get used to consuming any fats, but I personally think that a combination of both is good, carbs and fats. That's how I run anyway. I went a while without gaming, went and gave it another go with friends and was anxious as hell. Now I can see how much it affects me. I feel drained and can't move, pain in my fingers too. I used to get pain in my forearms and stuff. Gaming has a huge impact on your fight or flight and everything, especially when you're ill. But for sure, now you know. It made my anxiety worse as well. I think it's more about being than doing, guys. This was a huge improvement for me. Yeah, for sure. Could you talk us through an in-depth, typical few days during recovery, please? Now, this was over 2 years ago, so I might forget things, but usually what I'd do is I'd wake up at about 7 o'clock. I would stay in bed for an extra hour, just resting, probably listen to audiobook for another hour, rest in bed. And then when I felt like it was time to get up, I would dry brush for about 10-15 minutes, and then usually I would, I don't know, let's say, I always had a rule where I didn't look at technology until at least 2 o'clock in the afternoon, because it always made me feel worse. Sometimes I would go down and have some breakfast, or I'd go down and stairs and sit outside and just kind of meditate by just listening to what was going on outside. But usually I would eat after dry brushing, and it really depended, you know. A lot of time I would just relax, maybe try a bit of EFT if I felt like that was necessary, and by a lot of times my grandma would walk around and I would listen to her talk about whatever she was talking about, stories or experiences she had when she was younger, and I'd typically be lay flat on the couch and I'd just listen with my eyes closed because I just felt comfortable doing that. Then I'd have lunch, and if I was feeling really, really bored out of my mind and I felt like I was going to crack and play a video game, I'd just watch something that was entertaining, as in funny, for something that would be light-hearted, and I'd watch it and laugh, and you know, it'd keep my morale higher. And then before bed, I'd get ready for bed about 6 o'clock, and I'd run my hot bath, and before then I might dry brush again before my hot bath, do a lymph massage, and maybe do a few stretches. I never looked online to see what kind of stretches I should be doing. I just did whatever I felt like doing. Say a dog, they don't go, what kind of stretch shall I do? They just do whatever feels comfortable to them. So I'd do things like that, and I don't know, I'd have my bath for about an hour, relaxing, maybe play some rainforest sounds while I was in the bath, and when I got into bed, I'd have my hot bath, slowly get out and drain the water, and then I'd walk to my bed and just lay on my bed for half an hour, cooling down with the window open slightly. And then when I felt ready, I'd get into bed, put my audiobook in, and go to sleep. That was the routine I had for a lot of the time. Lymph massage, I mean just dry brushing. Where is it? I had my dry brush around here somewhere. But basically, you just go in a certain direction. I think it was towards the heart or away from the heart. I can't remember. But yeah, I used a dry brush nearly every day. Same, pain in my forearms, can't move them. I think that's when you're playing those video games, your body's in a state of fight, because you're usually doing some form of fighting, and that means the blood is pooling to your limbs. So that's why I personally thought that. So I was stuck in fight or flight all the time, even when I wasn't playing games, which caused me to have, that's what I believe fibroid pains are, is accumulation of waste that isn't filtering properly. I was doing a ketogenic diet just before I got ill, so I wouldn't recommend. I know that ketogenic diet can be very stressful on the adrenal glands. I like to watch light-hearted TV shows with my family at night. Is that bad for my recovery? I don't think so. If you're feeling better after it, I don't see any problem with it. Every time I'm present for your Q&A, I feel hope come back. Thank you for doing them. It helps me. That's what I like to hear. Yes, Tamara, accepting where we are at the same time doing all things possible to work towards recovery. Doctors can't fix us. We need to fix ourselves with good habits and new perspective. Absolutely. It's never going to hurt. I had an ego for a very long time when I was ill, and I had to just accept that we're in the situation ourselves. Only us understand how we feel. Only we will sympathize with ourselves, and only we are going to fix ourselves. And realizing that even if these new habits that were beneficial to me weren't going to recover me, just having faith that doing the right thing would never be wrong in the long run. I have no problem falling asleep and normally go to bed around 10 PM, but I constantly wake up throughout the night and then get out of bed around 8 AM, feel pretty tired and groggy. What do you think I should do to get better? Well, you have to, Mum. Yeah, okay, Mum, I'm busy. What do you think I should do to get better? Well, understand that even if you're going to bed early, don't expect your body to just go fix your sleeping pattern overnight. It took me 5-6 months or something ridiculous to fully sleep through the night, maybe even longer. So the last symptoms for me were not feeling refreshed in the morning and feeling tired and groggy, and that really goes over time with consistency. You could try things like having I used to have a handful of Brazil nuts that used to for some reason helped me sleep through the night in the beginning, because your blood sugar is a bit iffy when you're ill. I think you're more sensitive, if you know what I mean. Did you have brain fog and depersonalization at the same time? Hard to tell which is which sometimes. Also, when these symptoms went away for you. Depersonalization is something that went away a lot further down the road. Brain fog went much sooner for me. Dry brushing towards heart, it also helps with acne because it is also has a detox function. Yeah. Which brand of argan oil did you use on your skin, please? So many on Amazon, I can't decide which brand. Yeah, I swear by it. It's the, if you're going to put anything on your skin, it's the only thing I put on my skin. It is real food source, organically virgin cold pressed argan oil. If you can see it, it's a bit damp, so you won't be able to. But yeah, real food source. They do loads of good products. Which brand? Oh no. How did you deal with food cravings? Food cravings for what? I usually listen to my body. So if I had food cravings for something really salty or fatty, I just ate it. You mentioned in some videos, one have to eat a lot enough. What is the reason for eating a lot? For me, I personally felt more grounded when I was eating. It was an emotional thing as well. It's like a comfort eating. And a lot of people say that comfort eating is bad, but when you're in a situation, it's your way of body coping with the situation. Right? So I personally just listen to my body. And also something you might want to look at is the starvation experiment, which they took soldiers during I think it's World War II, and they looked at the effect that even just cutting calories by, say, 800 in an ordinary man, the effects it had long term. And it's very telling, you know. Also, if you look at the symptoms of calorie deficiency, it kind of taps into like a lot of symptoms you feel when you're chronically ill. So if you have a long history of eating a meal a day, or not really caring about food, or not eating that much but having a very high activity, you could have been running mainly off adrenaline for a long time. You know, there's loads of different reasons why I did it. I just thought, I didn't see how it's going to be a negative as long as it was healthy food. I really like your attitude of listening to your body instead of fighting it, and your patience towards recovery even though you were sick for a long time and you had no guarantee you will ever recover. Yeah, when I first started doing everything I did to recover, I didn't expect to recover. So that's why I didn't really make any journals or anything like that. Oh yeah, argan oil smells like cow shit. Good argan oil smells like cow shit. You know, the non-refined stuff. It smells pretty bad, but it's the best stuff for your skin. I used to be afraid of recovery, but since I watch you, I'm not afraid anymore. But can't remember what it's like to do anything I want without usual crash recovery cycles. I'm ready to be well. Good. People say not to do keto. Dr. Myhill says it's the foundation of recovery. The amount of people I've seen recover not doing keto. See, I don't doubt that there are people who have recovered on keto, but generally, I just don't recommend when it comes to things like that. Like people say all carb or all fat diets. You know, I felt my best when eating just a combination of all of them. You know, I don't think you have to go. A lot of people go. I remember talking to this one guy, and he had a hard time on all carb, and he was like, "Right, that's it. I'm going ketogenic diet," and that is a very typical personality trait of people that are ill. All or nothing, one or the other, and I think it's very can be quite destructive to your recovery. is this idea of going all in, all or nothing. If it doesn't work, I'm going straight to something else. Your body's in shock. It's changing from one thing to the other. So I said to this guy, I said, have you ever tried just having a bit of everything, you know? Thank you very much. You really give me hope. Thank you very much for taking the time to answer questions. No problem. How long did it take for recovery? Now, when I first can start to look at when I recovered, I tell people it was around about a year. However, I was resting. Even though I wasn't making good changes generally, I was resting beforehand. So whether that was a part of my recovery, I don't know. So I would say generally about a year. I know Dr. Wilson, that has a book on adrenal fatigue, says to people, if you have a severe adrenal fatigue crash, it will take a minimum of a year. So it's about a year, something like that for me, but it's different for everyone. Yeah, I think many people can hear that personality trait and go, yeah, that's me. And that's usually what gets us in this mess. You know, I remember I would go, I've heard this thing called the liver flush. I ordered all the stuff in, did the liver flush, you know, almost puked my guts out, you know, had all the stones in the toilet after I really thought I was doing a successful liver flush. And then, you know, I thought that the extremeness of a liver flush was gonna translate into an extreme healing state. And all this extremeness I was doing was just making my body worse. It was very hard to get my head around doing something simple and just doing it consistently would translate into removing my pain and years of fatigue and stuff. Have you ever considered organizing health retreats? In the future, maybe. An affordable health retreat in Wales or Ireland. You know, if you could build log cabins, an affordable one people come to. You know what? I don't know why I haven't thought of that. I've just thought of it. You know what? I would consider that. I really would. I'm struggling to say no to family or friends. Then I feel pressure to get better in a year, to not let them down, and it makes me more. See that? That's a nightmare, isn't it? Nightmare situation. I would say in a warmer country generally it would be best, but a lot of people, for traveling countries, something very difficult to do. So I would consider a warmer country, but I think land is very cheap in places like Wales and Ireland. So it could be something I consider, and I think it's something that's going to be needed more and more as time goes on, because people are generally living lives where they feel ill, and it isn't until they get so ill they can't continue their life that they realize how they've just abused their bodies and not listened for such a long time. But yes, you kind of have to be selfish, ferocity, when it comes to family or friends. Thanks, Bobby. How did you deal with feelings of guilt, for example, saying strictly no to people and being selfish without feeling bad or guilty? I understood that if I wasn't going to be if I wasn't going to be selfish, I would continue living the life I was living, and I didn't want that. You have to put yourself first. What effect did your illness have on your personality? I didn't have a personality when I was ill. I was very blank, none, no, just nothing, no personality. That's why I didn't want to be around people. I wasn't entertaining, so what's the point? Oh yeah, when your adrenal glands are gone, it feels like you'll snap at anything. It feels like you're just angry at a moment's notice. You know, say for example, I was if I had I don't know, say I've got washing in my hand and something drops on the floor, I'll be like, fucking shit, and like, you know, just angry straight away over small things. How did you explain it to family? I don't know, they kind of, I just didn't explain it to them in the end. I was just like, you'll see one day, you'll see. I'm not talking shit, you'll see the change in me. And it's only now they go, wow, yeah, I guess you were ill after all. They will never understand how you feel because they aren't you. Yeah, if you don't listen to your body, it will make you listen eventually. My girlfriend's saying, tell people to eat more berries. Berries are extremely healthy. Like I don't think there's one diet when it comes to people recovering that exclude berries. That's one thing people don't do. They're extremely healthy. I know that when I was in my later stages of recovery, I went berry picking and used to eat the berries straight from the source, and you know, I swear I felt more rejuvenated from fresh pick things like that. Can you recommend any motivational speakers or audiobooks you use to hear? I have a very unpopular opinion when it comes to this, but Durian Rider was extremely motivational. Now, I made a motivational clips of Durian Rider and put it in one compilation for myself that I uploaded to my other channel. If you want me to upload that to my channel, I can do that. It, to me, just snapped me out of my victim mentality, snapped me out of just looking at the world in such a negative view and looking at everything like as if the glass is half full, half empty, sorry. I've just become an auntie and it's so hard to say no to seeing her. I feel like I'm missing out on her growing up, but it's so frustrating to be around babies as much as I love her. I can't relate to that because I never had to be in that experience, but I can imagine it's very annoying, frustrating situation. I talked to one guy that he's been ill for like 2 years now, a bit longer, and he's watching his kids grow up without him. And I can't imagine how frustrating that is. I can't imagine. So I'm probably not the best person to speak about that with. Any good places to get affordable ones if they're expensive? Frozen berries. Okay, so the stream's not frozen, I'm just thinking. I remember I used to buy from Ocado, and sometimes they'd do deals like buy one get one free on berries. So that's one example. They'll not always be organic, but I just wash them. There are ways to get pesticides off berries, but I think there are ways of doing that. I think it's better to get washed berries than eat none at all if they have pesticides on. I really enjoy your videos, but I think a lot of people struggle with the advice of staying at home because of work. Do you have any advice for those people, or would you consider making another video? If I was somebody that hadn't fully crashed and I was going to work, I would be someone that would be making sure that outside of work, I was making sure my diet at some point, maybe preparing food so I didn't slip up, making sure I'm relaxing outside of work, making sure I'm leaving my work at the door, making sure I'm sleeping well at night, things like that. Going to bed early especially. Not coming home and just having fast food and stuff. I love your advice and help so much. Some programs charge so much for people that have this illness when most people with this illness can't work. Exactly, that's what I hate. It doesn't make sense. Extortionate prices for people that can't work. Do you think that DP and DR is due to high levels of anxiety or deterioration of the body? It's funny because whenever I get back home from a walk, DP or DR or anxiety fades away. I think it's definitely to do with huge amounts of anxiety and the deterioration of the body generally. I think there are other reasons like trauma and stuff like that, but generally I would say it's probably prolonged periods of anxiety, maybe. How do you spell D? Yeah, let me find it. Okay. Just find this video and I'll paste it. I'll end the stream soon, and then you can go and watch this. This guy just helped me, you know, especially with my mindset. I would say that a biggest contribution to me putting on weight is going gluten-free, because for a while I felt like I just was never satisfied. The body likes something you can stick to long term. It likes consistency. It does. Yeah, it does love consistency. You know, you have people that smoke into their 90s, and they've smoked the exact same number of cigarettes every day. The body is fascinating. It's amazing. I think that consistency plays a huge role. Did you? You're putting weight on as in ketosis, because that's surprising to me. Yeah, my girlfriend was saying she thinks probably a lot of people have heavy metal poisoning, and that's why I originally did the detox baths with clay mask and clay. I used to put my whole body in clay for 15 minutes before I would have a bath as well, and it's something to do with negative ions draw heavy metals to it. So sometimes people can consume like diatomaceous earth, and it draws heavy metals towards the gut and then flushes them out. So it's something you want to look into. Also, people have a lot of amalgam fillings that can sometimes be causing problems, which also at the same time you want to be careful with removing them, because sometimes I've heard people relapse fully after having them removed if it's not done professionally. Also, fluoride in the tap water and toothpaste and things like that. I mean, you could put clay on your body and lay on a towel for 20 minutes, then have a shower. I know that a lot of people don't actually have baths. I use this, and I used to put that all over my body nearly every day. Yeah, you could do foot baths as well. Okay, let me find the clay. I know that some charge obscene amounts of money. Yeah, so there's a brand called Fuller's Earth, and it's very cheap. This is 2 kilograms, and it will last a very long time. And it's 12–13 pounds. What are the cause of low B12? I have really low B12 levels, something around 200. Have you, Matthias, have you been on benzos? I've noticed a lot of people that are on benzos have low B12. I don't know why. Low B12 can be caused for a number of reasons. Poor gut health, probably excessive use of antibiotics, maybe. If you're on a vegan diet, okay, so I'm on a vegan diet, and my B12 levels are extremely high. I don't know whether that's because I had a long period of water kefir, or I don't know. But generally, if you're on a vegan diet, you need a B12 supplement. There are some people, though, at the same time that have B12 supplements every day, B12 injections, and they still have low B12. It's kind of a mystery at this point. I think it personally comes down to, again, the gut. If you have a damaged gut. Like, if you have a damaged gut, obviously you're not going to be absorbing things properly. I speculated that water kefir, like, there are people that say that water kefir and fermented products have B12 in. I don't know how true that is, but B12 is made from bacteria, so it kind of makes sense. I think if sauerkraut, like fermented products, when healing the gut, I think are shown to be effective for most people. It worked for me in kefir. Like, I tried doing the sauerkraut, but I couldn't stand the taste. I hated it. Kimchi's nicer though. So if you know how to make kimchi, that could be something you do instead. But something you see quite often is probiotics, fermented foods, and stuff with people that have gut problems. It's all about getting, if you've had loads of antibiotics, getting bacteria into your gut, good bacteria. Natural sources of B12. For a vegan, there are some, but they're not huge. I don't know why my B12 levels were so high. They were like over 1,000 when I first had it done. It was like 997 my first time I had B12, and I never take a supplement in my life. And I'd never eaten meat at that point either. Oh yeah, Marmite's one, I think. Like yeast extract. Oh yeah, yeast. Oh, kombucha. Kombucha tea. Yeah, I've only had them a couple of times. I guess you could do that instead of water kefir. But I think the water kefir has more strains. But B12 is made. B12 is bacteria. It is made from bacteria. So if you ferment a product, it's growing bacteria. So it makes sense that if you consume that you'll get B12. That's an assumption. I can't say that it's true. But if anyone has any more questions, I'll answer it. Then I'll go now because I want to eat something. And I'll upload some of my older videos that I think some people might have missed. Yeah, maybe water kefir does contain B12. Yeah, my girlfriend says that the soil's depleted, and that could be a reason why people are getting B12 deficient. Supposedly, anyway. Yeah, it could do, because I was having a litre a day at that point. I recently tried doing kefir again, I couldn't be bothered. Too much upkeep. Have you ever made how to make? I did, but I deleted it because I hated how fat my face was in it. It's stupid, I know, but I was gonna redo a kefir video, but I never got around to doing it. There are plenty of how-to kefir videos online that you can look at. It's not difficult. And when I deleted the kefir video, it was near the beginning, and I thought my face looked especially shit. They're stupid. I should have just left it. It would have been people. You would have been able to see even bigger difference in me. I didn't look at it like that. But yeah, guys, if that's everything, I'll see you later. See ya.